Welcome back, you wonderful people of the internet. It has been a while. I know. It has been a while. But we're back with a wonderful small video I wanted to make, as the people of Dehancer contacted me and asked if I wanted to try out their software, which indeed I already had tried out, but several years ago. I can't even remember how long ago it was, but it was long enough that a few things have changed ever since. And I think it was right on time in a world where shooting film has become so much more expensive over the past few years. The one thing I can definitely recommend you is go to the website, get a test version, try out everything, play around with it, and then jump in. There's really no risk at all. If you jump in, obviously, you can use the code I have down below in the description of the video, so you can at least get 10% off and, have a go at it. And so here we are. And I just wanted to give you a little bit of an overview of what Dehancer can do and how I have started using it. I'm no expert by any means when it comes to Dehancer, not yet anyway. But I've already found a few things that I really, really love, and I'm looking forward to using, for quite some time. The wonderful thing is it works for photo and video. On the video side, from DaVinci Resolve to Final Cut to Premiere, even After Effects, are supported. On the photo side, Lightroom, Photoshop, Capture One, and so on. You can check out the website anyway to see if your favorite editing software is supported. The cool thing is there's also an iOS app, which is also connected, when you use your own presets for the film profiles and so on, which is kind of cool. Obviously, this is not for free. They have subscription pricing, but they also have a lifetime pricing, which is actually fantastic. So as you can see here, I just, I had a first playthrough. I had a first little round of editing and just, trying to familiarize myself with the software. And, but I want to get in and, redo a few things here and there. I've played around with it for the sake of the video with a couple of travel photos, 2 portrait photos from model shoots. And I also chose photos that did not use my regular Canon lenses. I shot everything on the Canon R5. For this photo, I did use a Voigtlander M-mount lens, the 50mm, I can't remember, 1.2, whatever it's called. It is a bit of I don't want to say funky lens, but it's not your regular super clean Canon lens, for example, right? Same goes for the other lenses we'll get to. In my mind, those lend themselves even better to using a software like Dehancer. And as you can see here, it's cool. You have, on the left, you have your film profiles that you can use that they provide, obviously. And the cool thing is, besides the list being quite big, actually, they really, really are well done. I've tried and seen a lot of LUT packs and Lightroom presets over the years, and I've never been a big fan of most of them, to be honest. With Dehancer, you get this really cool list of film profiles. And here we're going with the Agfa Chrome RSX 2200 for this photo. And the cool thing is you can then from here go and take that as your baseline and then do whatever you have to do, get to the result you actually want out of it. I don't know, the purists won't, the purists will not like stuff like this, but then again, try and get some aquachrome anywhere to shoot. besides having the crazy film prices and development prices nowadays. So you do you. I really appreciate having the possibility to use something like this. And even if I can shoot CineStill 800, for example, what if I didn't have any with me, or I couldn't, or if it's like, especially on like shoots where it's just not feasible or just not possible to shoot on film, but you still want to, get close to that look. It's nice to have the possibility. And you can see here, there's so much, if you want to get into the nitty gritty, that you can adjust within the Dehancer software. I do all my culling and all the basic raw edit or raw conversion rather in Lightroom. Go through everything as I normally do, and then jump into Dehancer and start, choosing my film stock, film profile, and then adjust accordingly. The one thing you should know, for example, is as this is a plugin, you can load into it from out of Lightroom, right? Like you can load into Photoshop, for example. But you cannot batch edit. For example, you have like a edit of 25 photos from a photo shoot, and you want to use Dehancer to finish everything off and, give it the look you want. You cannot batch edit that. But the cool thing is, even though you have to go back and forth between Lightroom and Dehancer or the plugin, Dehancer, even if you don't make your own presets, remembers what your last settings were. So it's really a quick and easy workflow, right? You say open in Dehancer, basically just click OK and you're back in Lightroom after your initial editing and going through all your settings and so on. And that's kind of cool. Just do yourself a favor and just use the trial version and check it out and see if it's something, that fits your workflow or that makes it maybe more interesting. Even using it on your phone makes such a nice difference. And if I look at I can't remember what the Leica app is called for iOS. I think they're only on iOS right now, right? No, they're actually on Android too. That thing is overpriced. If you've ever considered that, Dehancer is an absolute no-brainer. You have so much more options, but also control over what you're doing, if you're into that, right? One of the most important parts for me is, I don't hear many people talk about that, but as someone who shoots photo and video often together in one shoot, whether it's like an editorial thing, just a model shoot, or something for a client, it is so nice to be able to give the final look to photo and video in the same software, basically. If I can do it like from Lightroom and go into DaVinci and use the same profile and preset I already prepared and get as close as just humanly possible, that's a lot of work, or at least a lot more work if you're not using Dehancer, right? If you have to do it all by hand. And that I can appreciate a lot. And that's where it becomes even more, where it goes above and beyond this feels right. This is something where I can actually give it the little thing that was missing before. Now we're getting into something where it's just so practical and makes it so easy. The other cool thing is that they are working on their own desktop app. It is in beta right now, as it is normal for a beta. There were a few hiccups here and there, but nothing major, mostly just performance things I noticed. But this is cool to see that this is coming, right? That even if you don't have a Capture One subscription or a Lightroom subscription or in Photoshop or whatever, right? That you could just get into Dehancer itself because this is what your jam is, right? And as you can see, you have all the same sliders and setting possibilities and all the same, everything is the same, right? Just that the workflow is completely in Dehancer, which is really, really cool. I don't know if it would work for me in the long run because I'm unfortunately just a sucker and for Lightroom and stuck with Lightroom probably till the end of my days. And I love when a company can just, tries to give you every possibility there is to use their software in the way you want to. And I mean, they're also probably reading the room and seeing how many people are, fleeing from Adobe and subscriptions in general. So that's kind of cool. Last but not least, I also want to jump into DaVinci Resolve, obviously. I just recorded something around town, nothing crazy fancy or anything, but also went with the Blazor Kato I used for that portrait I showed you before. And just for the sake of simplicity and also try and use it as quickly as possible, you just put in a second note, pull Dehancer into it, and then unlike using in Lightroom, you have all the controls right there. And we're not going to get into any DCTL or power grades or anything. I don't want to go super crazy, especially because you can do your, as you can see here, your color conversion just right in there, at least the basics. That gets really good results. So I was really happy with that. And as I said, this is not a color grading tutorial. So I tried to keep it as simple as possible. And for anyone who's downloading the test version or jumping in for a month maybe and wants to play around, really play around, like with any other software, right? That you're jumping in and trying to get to know and see where the limits are or what you can do with it. Obviously, there are a lot of detailed tutorials out there, which also are great and helpful, and you should definitely check some out. As with so many, even with Lightroom, I always try and tell people, just play around with it. There's nothing you can break, right? Play with the sliders. Take them from left to right and back and forth and quickly and slowly and try the extremes, and then normally you will dial it back in anyway, right? And if you don't, you don't. You like what you like. And having that is worth the price of admission for me. That's for sure. And if this is something you enjoy and you see being useful to you, it's great that it offers so many different things to make your life easier using it. Which, especially nowadays where everything has to be quick, especially when you're delivering to clients, right? That makes it a really nice professional tool. See how it feels, see if you can get to the results you've been maybe thinking about or dreaming of or planning for a project or a vacation that's upcoming, right? And you have something in mind, which I very often do when I go on a vacation or have gone on a vacation, or there was this trip we've been planning or whatever, right? For some things, I know where I want to take that beforehand, and it's cool to know that you have the possibility with tools like these to achieve your goal without having to spend too much time. So let me just close this off as we're finishing the edit, and I'm going to show you the whole little film I shot at the end of this. None of these things, none of the tools we're using is a must-have, right? But when you can afford it and when you have the need, having tools that make your life easier to achieve your goals and your creative dreams, whatever that is for each one of us, right? That's a good thing. And especially, I didn't want to use the word AI slop in this video, but there's a shit ton of that out there nowadays. And if you want to differentiate yourself in your work a little bit, and even if it's just for yourself, right? I'm not talking about other people because who cares? If you just want to play around a little bit in a different sandbox, basically, right? And with different tools. It's the same when, like, you know, you get a different lens or a different camera or a different light or this or that. Stuff like that can be also inspiring to a certain degree, right? Give it a try. Let me know what you think. I have a few things planned that I'm very much looking forward to using Dehancer for in the future. And thanks for watching and listening. I hope I didn't blabber too much. Still working on my on-camera skills. And as I promised, the little film I shot around town here. Be kind to each other. Be kind to yourself. Be safe out there. Till next time.
音楽大好き。これは RBMA ラジオ。